for your information. Okay, so on behalf of Caribbean Export, I'd like to formally welcome you to this morning's session on COLEAD's activities, services, and activities programs in the region. But also, we would like to thank the partners from the Caribbean who have so graciously agreed to also inform you of their services. So I'd like to thank the Caribbean Agribusiness Association, CAIPA, that is the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, and the CARICOM Development Fund. So before we go into the substantive agenda, I would like to welcome Mr. Sanjin Soldachi. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. He's the Deputy Head of Mission for the European Union Delegation to Trinidad and Tobago. Sanjin, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walcott. Good morning to colleagues and friends in the Caribbean, and good afternoon to colleagues and friends in Europe. It is my pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I would like to greet ambassadors and high commissioners who are with us. I would like to greet Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, CEDA, Mr. Deodat Maharaj, permanent secretaries, senior business colleagues, senior diplomats, all protocols observed. The EU delegation has worked with the EU-funded committee linking entrepreneurship and agriculture development, COLEAD, and the Caribbean Export Development Agency, also EU-funded, to bring about this webinar. COLEAD design, manage, and implement development programs in the agriculture sector to contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. You will soon have the opportunity to hear from Mr. Knox, Ms. Werner, and Ms. de Vergefosse much more on the scope of COLEAD's work. One of the reasons that the EU delegation in Trinidad and Tobago took on the promotion of the webinar is due to our excellent experiences with many of the quality horticultural products here in this country, and this includes spices, jams, cocoa, of course, coffee, and much else. Thus, we consider that there is a solid potential for local products to be sold on the markets of 27 EU member states, but beyond as well. Under the Economic Partnership Agreement, Trinidad and Tobago and many other Caribbean countries have access to the world's largest single market. Now, please allow me to share with you my recent experience with local products. 2 weeks ago, I was on a mission to Brussels, and always on such occasions, I bring something local to my friends. The natural choice, of course, is always, when it comes from the Caribbean, is rum. It is, of course, one of the products that I carry with me, but with which European consumers are already well acquainted. After that, the next product that my friends and acquaintances appreciate is local chocolate. Many know about excellent chocolate from Ecuador or Ghana, but few know about the top quality of Trinitario cocoa. It's hard for me to explain how delighted they are. Likewise, with hot sauces, the local scorpion sauce. I don't eat spices food myself, so I was also surprised by my friends' praise for this product. I could not bring with me to them fresh products such as local fruits, but believe me that local avocado, mango, papaya, five fingers, and many other types of fruits with the necessary observance of phytosanitary criteria would be a hit on shelves throughout the European Union. Therefore, we are here today to strengthen the capacity of smallholders, farmer groups, and horticultural micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises to access domestic, regional, and international markets, but complying with regulatory and market requirements in a sustainable framework. We at the EU delegation in Trinidad and Tobago are convinced that by fulfilling the requirements for export to the EU, the largest single market in the world, success with quality and organic products, which are exactly what they are in Trinidad and Tobago, is guaranteed. I hope that the webinar will guide those entrepreneurs, the dreamers that do, who are seeking to bring their products to markets outside Trinidad and Tobago. I wish the best of luck to all participants and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Sanjeen, for your welcome. I, of course, can attest to the love of Caribbean products. Only last year, we took 14 exhibitors from the region to Seattle, Paris, where they exhibited. And we had a very, very warm welcome, and everybody kept on raving about the abundance of natural niche products from the Caribbean. So to tell us about COLEAD's activities, I invite Mr. Jeremy Knops, Delegate General de COLEAD, to give us his presentation. And he will be supported by Benedict as well as Camille.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. So my name is Jeremy Knops. As it was mentioned during the introduction, I would like, of course, to start by thanking all partners present here today. To start with Caribbean Export Development Agency, we're co-organizing the session of today, but of course also CAIPA, CABA, IICA, CARICOM, and of course the delegation and more broadly the EU for the continued support to not only COLEAD but to a number of other organizations and programs in the region and elsewhere. As it was mentioned, I'll be presenting with my team, well, about COLEAD, who we are, where we come from, the type of programs that we're managing today that are of direct relevancy, we believe, to the Caribbean region. But also more broadly, we would like to try and emphasize some of the key resources that we've been able to develop over the course of the past 20 years through the management of programs, most of which have been funded directly by the EU and the Organization of Africa, Caribbean, Pacific States. And these resources are there, already available independently now from, I would say, any modality to formally access support from programs. It's following a kind of open access philosophy. So that will be kind of the last part of the presentation of today. So for some of you, of course, that have known us for a couple of years, we were formerly known as COLEAD. So we took the decision to change our name a couple of years ago, and we formalized it in January this year to officially become COLEAD. The main reasoning behind the evolution of our name is to try and better represent, communicate what we do rather than where we're doing it, since one of our programs are actually being managed by the organization goes beyond the remit of Africa, Caribbean, Pacific countries, the AgriInfo program, which we'll have the opportunity to talk about later on. And so COLEAD, as it was said, Committee Linking Entrepreneurship, Agriculture and Development. Well, we're a non-profit private sector membership-based association with around 500 members, most of which are directly, of course, from the private sector, being companies on the producing, processing, exporting side of the activity, agri-food sector, with a specific historical focus on plant-based and fruit and veg products. But the different part, I would say, what makes, of course, the association a bit different is the fact that we of course have members on the producing side, but also members in the EU on the buying side, and particularly committed members being on the producing on the importing side, committed in the sense that there's this mission that we took the opportunity of the change of name to really reformulate our mission, which gathers, I would say, today all members within the association, which is really this recognition of the potential of the agricultural sector and horticulture in particular to further contribute to achieving sustainable development goals. And the way we believe as an organization we can do this and contribute to do this is by focusing really on the human capital, hence our vision, growing people, focusing really on skills, on information, know-how, and upgrading and improving this overall knowledge management around agriculture to make sure it fully plays its role. Of course, in particular, to achieving certain SDGs. Historically, of course, contribution to poverty reduction has been a key focus of our association. So that's food security and nutrition, environmental protection. Of course, with a number of indirect impacts on almost all SDGs. From an operational perspective, as an association, our activities have grown throughout the years, and you'll have a representation later on, probably of the different departments that we have within the association. But beyond, of course, our internal operational organization, we manage programs. We manage programs being funded by different donors, amongst which, as I said, historically and currently, the most important ones are the EU and the OACPS. But we also work with the French Development Agency, with Belgian Development Agency, with the United Nations, with the World Trade Organization, and other agencies to really design and manage programs which have different remits, being on the sectoral, thematic, or geographical remits. And here you have a picture of all the current programs that we're managing, and as you can see, I mean, well, the most recent, I would say, relevant programs in the Caribbean region in orange, which have been the Fit for Market SPS, and in green, the two main programs at the moment active for the Caribbean region, Fit for Market Plus and Agrinfo. And my colleagues Benedict and Camille will have the opportunity to come back to this. Now, the common denominator between all these programs, beyond focusing, of course, on the human capital, is to have a strong market access dimension. Beginning of the years 2000, the core, I would say, focus or center of gravity of our activities was really to work with MSMEs across member countries of the OACPS, which was, of course, the Caribbean, to comply with the new harmonized EU framework with regards to maximum residue limits of pesticides. That was end of the 90s, beginning of the years 2000. And that led to entire revision of the food safety package with hygiene traceability. And that was really originally the kind of thematic focus of organization at the time through the PIP program. Then from a very pragmatic perspective, we evolved, of course, in light of different market requirements, being regulatory or from the private sector through standards. We're going to extend this thematic kind of coverage through the programs to really include a social dimension linked to agricultural production and processing and trading, but also the environmental dimension, and later on really the economic dimension, to have really an integrated kind of support package around sustainability, really including 3 pillars of sustainability. That leads us today really to the Fit for Market interventions. Another quick element I would like to mention, as it was stated during the introductory remarks, of course, yes, when we think, of course, about or used to think about COLEAD, OACP and programs, clearly the EU market remains a key focus, but not only, and this has also evolved over the course of the years, and of course of the reality of markets and new opportunities arising. And today, really, if we look at the kind of spread in terms of requests, applications for support that we're receiving, yes, the EU market remains attractive, remains with a lot of opportunities, but it's not the only market. And there are other opportunities also on a regional basis, some countries more on a domestic basis. And just to mention that the kind of remit of these programs is really to support market access, being high-end export to the EU, fresh or processed, but also on facilitating market access to other types of markets, independently from the type of requirements that are being asked to access these markets. Before I'll pass the floor to my colleagues, I'll briefly introduce, of course, the team. So Benedict, lead expert within our technical assistance department. Camille is a senior project manager. Also have Soline, with whom you'll most probably be in contact in the coming weeks and months, who's a project officer within technical assistance, and Jena, who's also with us from Suriname, who's been our kind of relay in the Caribbean region from Suriname, except for the Dominican Republic. But Jena has been supporting, of course, and our activities, implementing also part of them, but has been really key in making sure that we're able to fully kind of respond to the needs, being from the private sector, public sector, in partnership, of course, with all organizations and other programs that are also offering a range of complementary, similar types of activities. But the scale and the speed we believe change has to take place requires, of course, more partnerships, more effective partnerships, and that's what we're, of course, aiming at doing in the Caribbean region, but also in the other regions where we're working at the moment. So without further delay, I suggest I now pass the floor to my colleague Benedict, who will guide you through all the different programs that are currently Benedict and Camille, or Camille and Benedict. I don't know. I think it's Benedict who's going to start. And yes, we're here, and we're also looking forward, of course, to the other presentations and to answering any question you might have. So Benedict, Camille, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeremy. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'll start by making a short presentation of the Fit for Market Plus program that I started in December 2021. Like the other FFM series program, it's intra ACP program, and it will go. It will last for five years. The main objective of the program is really to support farmers group and small and medium enterprise to maintain and improve access to the different markets, should they be domestic, regional, or international. We are focusing on horticultural produce, but not only. The other agricultural product value chain could benefit from it indirectly. A second very important objective is also to support those MSMEs to seize new market opportunities, as Jeremy was mentioning in the first part. And we are aiming at supporting them to seize those opportunities by embracing green, low carbon, and climate resilience strategy through the development and the adoption of relevant practices, skill, and technologies. Okay, so who can be supported by the program? As the other FFM program, we are still focusing on the companies, on the private operator, should they be producer, processor, trader, or exporters. But we cannot do that without having an enabling environment. So that means that we are also working with and partnering with a large range of organizations, private, public, that will be there to support the development of those companies. So we are working with competent authorities in terms of phytosanitary and sanitary issues. We are also having a wide range, a network of consultants, working with research institutes, professional organizations, universities, depending on the country we are intervening and the environment that is available for the companies. So the people we are working with and now the topics that we are working on, they are presented there. So from crop production, crop protection to food safety, and we are also covering the environmental issues, and we have also developed we mentioned the soft skill when it comes to training methodology in business management. The training methodology is at the heart of our growing people vision. Type of activities that are performed through the program can be divided in three axes. If you want to access a market, first you need to know your market and what are the requirements to access the market. So the program will support company to have this knowledge in the evolving different markets, and also how to grow according to these requirements when it comes, for example, to maximum residue limits. So that also one axis of one type of activity. For example, our research and innovation brokerage service provide a crop protocol for more than 30 different crops. And also you need to know the regulation and standard that are required by those different markets. And the regulation and standard service department is analyzing and translating the regulatory changes that will affect the fruit and vegetable sector. So produce and share technical and educational material, ensure market access. The second axis will be to strengthen the capacity in the value chain. So we are doing that through training, collective training, or on-site and specific training, depending on the subject, depending on the organization. We are also providing technical assistance for specific support. This all depend on the needs of the partners that has been identified. Third, we are also trying to increase the impact of our action through partnership and better access to finance for the SMSCs we are working with. We are not providing finance, but we are trying to support them in better accessing finance. So how to access fit for market support for any kind of beneficiary? If you're part of this, let's say, round schematic organization scheme, first you need to apply for support. We are a demand-driven program, so we need to have your request that you can fill in online. And in this request, you will present yourself, your activities, and the needs, and that's the project that you want to carry out, what you need, and what are the priority support you would like to receive. When applicable, we will ask you to go through the self-assessment tool that we have developed for companies that will help you to analyze the situation of your own company, depending on the different criteria. Based on what is in the application of support, what is in the SAS, your priorities, your capacity to absorb the support, then we will design together an action plan and a budget. We have a second principle, which is a cost-sharing principle. That means that we are not covering 100% of the cost of an action. We, for example, could support the fees of an expert, of a trainer, but we will never support running costs, equipment or infrastructure costs. That the kind of costs that we cannot carry. Support, sorry. As soon as a development plan and budget is signed, then we can implement it. So we implement all the action that have been defined, and the beneficiary is really a driver. So that means that when it comes to implementation, we will really go at the own pace of the beneficiary. Of course, after some actions, there will be monitoring and performance review to be able to assess the impact of the action that have been carried out. So in a nutshell, support modalities have been presented, and the eligibility criteria are: you need to be part of an ACP country. So if you are here, you are. The horticultural sector is our focus, but as I mentioned earlier, the other plant-based agri-food value chain can also be supported indirectly. You need to commit and sign the COLEAD Sustainability Charter. That is covering, of course, the 3 pillars of the sustainability. We also would like to work with committed partner. As mentioned earlier, you are the driver of your development plan, so you need to be involved and to spend time, energy, sometimes money, in order to implement the actions that have been defined together. As I mentioned already, you need to apply for support, and you can do it online. So COLEAD in the Caribbean, we are active in the region since 2001, through the different program, PIP, IDES, Fit for Market. Maybe you are familiar with some of these acronyms. Today, there are 56 development projects that have been signed under Fit for Market SPS that are still ongoing. Then we have already received 25 new applications for support under FFM+. Those applications for support are mainly from company and group of producer, but we have also some requests from provider, competent authority, university, farmers organization. We have also a request from a regional structure. You've got a small graph with the regional or national division. Suriname is as the lead for the moment. A few examples of the COLEAD activity in the Caribbean that have been carried out during FFM and FFM SPS program. So there are 2 slides. The first one is focusing on the support to the private sector. So several topics have been covered through collective training, mainly digitally, because we went through COVID pandemic, but it was quite successful, and we had a large number of participants to this different digital training on several topics. For the moment, we are also conducting a research on post-harvest treatment for dashing for export with ECTAD. Concerning the competent authorities, we have also organized a few collective training on different topics from official control organization and implementation to pest risk analysis. And if I take the example of Suriname, we have conducted a diagnosis, an initial diagnosis of the SPS national system, focusing on one particular value chain. We use the RSAT, which is an assessment tool that has been developed by COLEAD. We have also implemented several training activities and review the legislation, phytosanitary legislation, as well as the food safety law. We are also partnering with CAFSA at a regional level. Okay, Camille will later on present the different resources, but I wanted to just enlighten this one on the market insight department and the market studies that has been specially, let's say, compiled for Caribbean produce, fresh and processed, and we have analyzed the different opportunities for those fresh and processed produce from Caribbean country when it comes to domestic, regional, or international market. We know that the situation concerning import, export, or production differs a lot from one country to another in the region, but you can just click on the link on the library and explore this study. There are plenty others, but I thought this one might be of interest for you. So this is in a nutshell the Fit for Market program, technical assistance program. Now I will just briefly present you the AgriInfo program. It's not a typical technical assistance program that we are usually carrying with COLEAD. This is an information program. The scope is larger. So we are covering all agri-produce value chain. The countrywide is also larger, and we are not providing any technical assistance or training, but we are really providing information on EU regulation, policies, and standards. For the time being, I mean, for several years now, there is a significant change in those European regulation, policies, and standards. And we are not only, as Jeremy was mentioning, focusing on food safety like it was in the year 2021, 22. Now people want to know how the food is produced, how the suppliers are treated, what is the environmental impact of the different production. And that means that the trading partner of the EU must be up to speed, with all these regulatory and non-regulatory changes. So the European Union is providing a lot of information and make the information available in a transparent way. But as you can see, there are a lot of different portals, there are a lot of different information, and it might be difficult to navigate through those different information and find the relevant one. When it comes to legal term, it might be also difficult to understand. So that's why we have been asked to put in place this AgriInfo program and this AgriInfo portal, single portal that bring together all the information on recent regulation and upcoming regulation changes. So we are focusing on the 143 lower middle and upper middle income economies. So it's far more important than the ACP group of country. And the program is mainly targeting competent authorities and business member-based organization of the different value chain. We are not only focusing horticulture, but as mentioned earlier, on all agri-food sector. And the idea is to be a contact point for partners when they want to obtain a bit more information on those different regulations. So this is the website that has been developed in order to provide and to disseminate the information. So if I can just show you quickly, you've got all the records that are mentioned here, and you can search the different the information on one particular regulation already voted and implemented or under consultation. So you can use the search button and select the commodity you are interested in or the topic. then if you click on these different commodity topics, you will have a technical leaflet on the particular regulation that is concerned. For example, here one on the review of the maximum residue level for several pesticides. I just want to mention that the website is in English, but you can easily have an automatical translation through your navigator. So you can have the information in French, Spanish, or the language you wish. Just the search button will stay. You will have to continue to search in English. So if you're looking for, let's say, information regulation banana, then you have to use banana and not banana. Yeah, this is okay. The records on a regular basis, we are also providing a newsletter every 2 weeks to keep you up to date on the evolving EU policy. So if you register, if you subscribe to this newsletter every 2 weeks, you will have the main changes. So you just have to subscribe here. You will then fill in with your name, email, the position. You can also select the kind of information you are interested in, and every 2 weeks you will receive this newsletter. The third services Agrinfo is providing is a help desk. So if you have a particular question, if something is not clear, then you can always message to the regulation and standard team through this consult button, and then you will obtain more info or the links to the EU resources that you are looking for. I think I'm done with those 2 programs. I will now hand over the floor to Camille that will present you all our resources, digital or non-digital resources that are available to our partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Benedict. So indeed, all the action and activities of Agrinfo and FFM Plus are linked to resources. So now I will show you these resources and how it can be useful for you. So here you have a macro view of all the resources. So the digital resources, e-learning platform, analytics, so with different dashboards on market volumes, interception, etc. The regulation one, the e-library, so it's for the digital ones, but we also have a network, news and online event, and some self-assessment tools. So there are 2 kinds of self-assessment tools, one for companies, the SAS, Benedict already mentioned it, and equivalent for public sector, the AirSats. So I will start with the digital resources and the e-learning platform. So I will go quickly on this slide because I will do a short demonstration at the end of the slideshow. So the e-learning platform, it's a tool at your disposal for more than 10 years now. It is in constant evolution because we always develop new content and update the content. Today, it's a community of 18,000 learners. So you can exchange with this community through forums, etc. It's an open access tool for all the stakeholders in the agri-food sector. So it's free access. And if you want to train in the 8 thematics, so the thematics that Benedict presented, you can just subscribe. And you have access to the content offline or online with self-study courses. You can also download the content, and I will show you how to do that after, and get a certificate if you pass a quiz with minimum of 70%. And there is also a Moodle application, so you can use as well this e-learning platform through your smartphone. The second one I want to present is the analytics. So the purpose of this resource is to share information, for sure to facilitate the information access, but also to facilitate decision-making in fine through this information. So the dashboards cover different topics: production, trade, import side and exporter side on agri-food and non-food products, but also country statistic and interception. Interception, it's phytosanitaries, sanitaries, and also for documentation reasons. So the advantage to look at the dashboards is that you can, for example, estimate the demand for certain markets or identify the country performance and the competitivity for exportation, etc. So everything is accessible through our website, and for sure it's openly accessible. So the third one is regulation, and it's directly linked to the presentation of Benedict on Agrinfo. So it's the portal of this program. That's in this platform, you can really have access to all the changes in EU regulation. So you can have this overview and you can adapt to these changes and anticipate better. So it contains all regulation changes and non-regulation changes in EU policies, and it's presented in a popularized way, so you can really understand easily the content of it. And you also have this newsletter, I mean, that is also associated to the to Agrinfo, or you are alerted on changes and ongoing changes, but also changes to come. So again, you can really anticipate the impact of these changes. And yeah, as Benedict mentioned, because sometimes it's not yet published, there is a margin of influence, so you can identify the potential difficulties due to a change and let us know through the website as well. Okay, so here we have the e-library and e-gap. For those one, I will also do a short demonstration after, but generally we have like different kind of supports. We have production guide, technical brochures, etc. We have, for example, more than 30 technical itineraries. So it's technical itineraries for certain products, for example, avocados, mangoes, could be for organic or conventional agriculture. We also have market profiles, so you can see it's in the middle of the slide. Other technical or pedagogical documents. So pedagogical documents are really important because it's what we use during our training. And so the training manuals, for example, we have them for all our thematics, so the 8 thematics that were presented earlier. The eGap, it's a platform on plant protection products. So you have all the information there with the maximum residue limits, EU and Codex, and linked to that, the good practices to respect these maximum residue limits. I will show you that after as well. Here, okay, I don't have so many time, but I will go a bit faster. Thank you, Benedict. So here we have the self-assessment tool. So the first one is the one for the company. So the SAS, so it's a commercial management tool. Why do we do that? It's clients are more and more asking for proofs of sustainability, good practices. So it's important as a company to be able to assess that and give that kind of proof. So there are 3 pillars. One, people. So because the activities need to bring positive social results. The one, planet. So because the activities need to have a neutral or positive impact on environment, and the profit one, because activities need to provide economic advantages to all food chain actors. So the 3 pillars are included in 8 surveys. So the survey, you have all the thematic on the right of the slide. And so when the company answer to the different question in each survey, we can have some indicators that come with explanation and recommendation and resume in a report that we share with the company. So this report gives an overview on the status in each pillar. And with this report, companies can improve their management, align their practice with different standards to eat better the market, to better access the market, sorry. They can present this report to financial organism, etc. For us, it's also important because it helps us to have an overview on our company's profiles and to adapt the action plans with the company profile. So for example, on the right on the slide, you see that the data aggregated for 55 companies that did the SAS 1 and the SAS 2 years later. So you can compare and see that, for example, there's a good evolution in a lot of thematic, but in energy, for example, it could be a priority area for us to adapt our action plan. So we have the same system for public sector. So I will not go into detail, but you see the 4 big steps: governance system, operational processes, management of skills and competency, communication, and relationship dynamics. So it's really the same, and it's also useful for public sector because the government also includes now in their commercial policies the sustainability dimension. Okay, so another one is the COLEAD network. At COLEAD we have all these digital resources and self-assessment tools, but we also have a network. So the network, you see that the companies are in the center, but they are surrounded by an ecosystem. So this ecosystem is experts, it's clients, it's training center, it's me, it's you. I mean, it's everyone that are involved. That is involved in COLEAD. So our role at COLEAD is to create an environment for all members of this network to exchange. We have to create links, for example, through training, during trade fairs, etc. So actually, by joining COLEAD, you join a professional network who share ideas and common goals. So that's the idea of this network. And last but not least, news and online events. So on the website, again, you have access to the news, different kind of news. For example, here you see on the slide, EOSTA, so some news about members, also news about maximum residual limits, and also about events. For example, innovation series and this webinar. So you can really find everything. So here you see like events, so everything is available on the website. And another example of event is the agri-food business series that we did with IICA. So we already did 8 sessions. So it's farmers that present their business, and the next session is the 8th of June. So for sure you are invited to join this session. Now I will go directly through our website so I can show you directly how it's works. Let me start here. Oops. So here you see the COLEAD website, and there are the different resources that I mentioned. So first, the e-learning, secondly, analytics, e-library, and regulation. I will go, and you can choose the language. We are speaking here in French, but it's available in English, but it's available in French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So if I click here on e-learning, okay, let me just disconnect myself. So, oops. Okay, so you arrive here because you are new, and I will put it in English as well. So again, you can check and choose your language. You click here, join now. Okay, there are some explanation. You click on the registration form. You fill the form with basic information, and you create your account. Okay, I already have an account, so I will directly log myself. Oops. Okay, so here you are at the entrance page of your Moodle dashboard. So there are some news. So for example, here, it's in French, so I put it in English. Okay. So there are some news here on the first page, and there is a survey, a placement test, so a test that will help you navigate in the platform and to choose the CELTUD courses that you want to follow. So you can start with this test. Okay. Oops. Okay. So proceed. Okay. For example, I work for a mango company, so I need first to choose what type of organization I belong to. So I will choose, as you can see, I will choose the company's one. I'm the director, so I choose this level of responsibility. My job title is director, so I'm the company manager, is the one that fit better with my position. And I want to learn, so here I can choose between financial need, opportunities related to sustainable production, requirements of international markets, or elements related to the social responsibility of your organization. I will choose, for example, requirements of international markets. Okay, so here I have the recommended courses. So it does not mean that I cannot follow other courses, but because of the survey, it's what is recommended. So I will, okay, start with traceability. I think it's the basis for my request. So here I'm in the traceability courses. There are 3 levels. First one, introduction, second one, intermediate, and third one, advanced level. For each thematic, you have intermediate and advanced level, and introduction, it depends. But for this one, we have to do the advanced level, you are obliged to do first the intermediate level and introduction level. Okay, let's say that I already did the introduction, so I'm going to the intermediate level. Okay, so I have first an introduction video, so I have an idea of what will be in the course. Okay, so there is a forum, so I can discuss with the network. And here there is the content. So I will click here. Okay, define the scope. So I have the learning objectives. I can enter in the course and start to learn. Okay, so I start this module. There are different chapters, so if I want to go there, I can. If I want to do it now and after go back, I don't know, in 2 weeks to do the next step, I can do it as well. So it's really at your own pace, and you choose the different thematic, and the content is, yeah, there are different level of content, but everything it's in the chapters. So the advantage of this kind of course, so the self-study ones, is that you can also follow them offline. So here you have this row, you put on it, sorry, you click on it, and you can choose the offline mode. So if I want to download this course, I will click here. Oops. Okay, so you have the file that is downloaded. You will have a zip file, so you just need to dezip it. Okay, so I will show you how it's up here, but because I will not wait for all the downloading, but when you click on it, okay, you have all this, and you just need to click here, index, and you have, even if it's open in that kind of window, it's okay. You can use it offline. It's the purpose of this. Okay. So it's for sure very interesting because you don't have always access to internet, so it could be a very good option for people with bad connection. After, when you finish the course, you can do the quiz. So you click here, and as I said, if you have 70%, you succeed in the quiz and you get the certificate. Okay, you will see the condition, but if you test the quiz, you have 19 minutes to do it. So for the quiz, you need to have the connection. It's the only moment where you are obliged to be connected. And you have two tentatives. So you need to wait 2 weeks if you missed the quiz to do another attempt. Okay. So it's for the self-study course, but we also have the tutor training, digital tutor training. So the tutor training, it's only for our beneficiaries. For the rest, it's really open access, but tutor training, it's only for our beneficiaries. And the difference is that the tutor training is for sure with a tutor. So it's something that is planned in the time. So you have a specific timing, you have a start date. In general, it's 4 weeks with some Zoom session and homework to do between the Zoom session. And to have the calendar, you just need to click here. You can choose by thematic or by calendar. Okay, I will check by the calendar. Okay, I check what is planned in May. Okay, there is a training in business and financial risk. Awesome, I will subscribe myself. So I click here. So you have some details about objectives, target audience. It's very important to check this target audience because we really need to have a homogeneous group. And you register yourself here and you will receive a confirmation if you are accepted in this training. So that's for the e-learning platform. And now rapidly, I will go in the e-library, okay? So you click here, so you are still from the website, okay? And here you can decide to select, to do your research with keywords or by category. Here you have the different categories, or by thematics, or by language. Okay, for example, if I want to look for the one yes, Caribbean, the study, I can, so I just put Caribbean in the research and I see, okay, there is the market profile of logistics in the Caribbean, but there are also guidelines of the export of fresh capsicum and the market study that Benedict mentioned earlier. So you can really try with thematics, with a value chain, etc., and you will find all the resources there. And on the e-library, you can also find the e-gap. So the e-gap, as I mentioned, it's all the plant protection products. So you click here. Okay, so there is in each e-resource, you have a video to explain you how to use it. So if you don't remember what I say now, you can go back in the video. Oops. And here you can, again, there are different filters that you can use. You can sort by crop. So for example, I don't know, you want to check for okay, green pepper. Okay. So here you see that there is only one active substance and you can directly, so you see the maximum residue limits EU and Codex, and you can go into details to have information about the active substance proposed. And some explanation of how you can, here is not really well documented. I will show you another one, but you can have explanation on how you can, for example, which frequency you need to use the products, etc. So if I take, for example, eggplant, okay, you have other substance, and you can do another filters if you want to only filter this. For example, I can check this one. Okay. Okay, so here again, information on the substance, the residue levels, so EU Codex, and the good agricultural practices. So the dose, the number of application, the interval between application, inverse interval, etc. And everything is there, and you have the modification date, so you know when it has been updated. So again, everything is accessible. And yeah, this one, for example, it's approved until February 2033. So it's also important for you to get that in mind. So I think I'm done. I will stop to share my screen. So I know that it was a lot of information, but for sure, there are a lot of content to explain you that in the website. We will send you the video after. I hope that you are still there.
Yeah, Natasha, I've seen that a few people are requesting for the PowerPoint presentation. It will be shared with you, and then you can disseminate to the participant and maybe the people that are registered.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, colleagues, for the presentation. It certainly was a lot. So as Benedict mentioned, we will certainly share that with you after the webinar. I know we're meant to take questions at the end, but I just wanted to see if anyone at this point had any question. There was one at the beginning, but it looks like the person is no longer online. So if you have any questions, you can post them in the Q&A tab, and we can come to them at the end because I don't see any right now. Okay, so at this point, we will turn over to hearing from the partners in the Caribbean about their programs. So we will start with Mr. Vassal Stewart, who's with the Caribbean Agribusiness Association. Vassal?
Hi, thank you very much, Natasha. Let me just share my screen. Just a second. Right, I hope you're seeing my screen. First, let me thank Natasha, Caribbean Export, and of course, COLEAD for not only inviting us to participate, but for the opportunity to make a presentation and CABA's work program. The intent being to see how there may be some alignment between what we are seeking to achieve and the COLEAD program. For those of you who may not be aware, CABA is a regional agribusiness development organization. Our purpose really is to promote and protect the interests of the sector. And in seeking to do that, we find it more effective to work very closely with the governments. As you might recognize, government policies, government investment in the sector are drivers of growth. So that our program, even though we are private sector driven, our programs are largely based on our need to align what we do with regional policies and regional priorities. So you may know that there is an agreement at the level of CARICOM, at the level of the heads of government, which is aimed at reducing our food imports, target of 25% by 2025. There's also a similar target to reduce the incidence of non-communicable diseases by 25%. You may also be aware that the Caribbean is among the most affected in terms of the incidence of NCDs. And then there's a third objective, which is not perhaps at the same level in terms of our regional agreement on a specific target, which is the reduction of the leakage of tourism expenditure. Again, we are a major dependency on the tourism sector. But across the region, we tend not to have more than between 15 to perhaps 35% of tourist expenditure remaining in the region. So our goal is to contribute to that, and particularly as it relates to the ability of MSMEs to participate in these reduction targets. In the shorter term, our objective over the next year is to really advance a program that CABA has developed, which we term the CABA's Integrated Agribusiness Development Strategy. The aim of the strategy is, of course, to ensure that we link the activities that we undertake to ensure that the three goals are met. That is reduction of food imports, reduction of NCDs, and reduction of a leakage of foreign exchange. And we do that by having a number of elements in our strategy. One is a production module that we have developed, which we have called the Smart Integrated Mixed Farming System. I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. We have an agro-processing model, which seeks to ensure diversified food processing services centers are established across the region. And a significant amount of that is being done for example, in Guyana. We have similar activities in Jamaica and in Trinidad. We are focusing as well in terms of promoting marketing strategy that seeks to focus on direct-to-consumer marketing. That is not to say we are ignoring the traditional marketing channels, but given what we think is going to emerge based on the objective of reducing imports, where we're going to see large-scale production taking place in Guyana, in Suriname, in Belize, to a lesser extent Jamaica and Trinidad, will impact the ability of SMEs to survive based on price alone. So there's going to be a need for a different marketing strategy, a different production module. We think there's a need as well, given the tourism issue, to have programs strongly linked to agritourism, and we have developed a particular model that we are promoting called the agro-recreational tourism model. Again, I'll give some more information on that. And then more importantly, the whole issue of financing, because among all the challenges and the constraints faced by MSMEs, financing continues to be a major problem. So we have, in fact, had the approval of COLEAD in 2017 to seek to establish a agribusiness fund with a target over a 5-year period of up to $1 billion. And we're still aggressively working on that. The sim farming system seeks to ensure that we integrate crop and livestock production to provide what we are describing as a circular farming system, and to tie that strongly to the use of digital technologies. What that means is that, for example, waste from the farm, in terms of crop waste, will be consumed by livestock, and then the waste from the livestock will then be reintegrated into production of compost, vermiculture production, to ensure that we reduce the use of inorganic inputs. We are also strongly promoting the development of these diversified factory infrastructure that would allow for plants to process a range of products, fruits, vegetables, root crops, herbs, livestock. And again, if we have time, I'll elaborate some more on what we're doing. Part of the direct-to-consumer model requires us to promote the establishment of what we're describing as healthy household clubs, which allow not just a focus on purchasing produce, but ensuring that you purchase a basket of healthy products. The art program involves establishment of linkages between sports and culture and agribusiness entities. And again, we are seeking to do that both at a community level and in terms of some new investments in agro parks that would allow for integration of primary production, processing, and a range of related services. The Agribusiness Fund, we are working with some regional and local partners to establish a fund. And if we have the time, I could elaborate where we are with that particular project. So what we're looking at is that in a future type of farm where the focus is going to be on smart technology, small farms, but small and smart. And if you're seeing the screen, that gives you somewhat of a visual image of what we anticipate the new direction in agribusiness development will take, ensuring that you're building community farming structures that is going to be supported with new technologies. For example, we have a program now in one of the communities we are working at how we can use drones, not only to monitor farms, but to provide security services as well. And again, given the short time, we can't elaborate on that too much, but perhaps during the question and answer, we can again indicate how we are working with our partners including some of our technical members of the CABA team, to bring this technology to bear on the farming sector. This gives you an idea of an example of a diversified food processing entity in Trinidad. The company structured to process vegetables, fruits, root crops. They are doing seasoning sauces. They are also doing a range of bakery products from root crops, producing pasta as well, producing a range of healthy soups from local raw material, from pumpkin, spinach. Up to recently, the work was being done on using a range of local herbs as part of the new soup product. So what that indicates is a need to match our processing infrastructure with the way our primary production is structured. We are not producers of large, low-cost volumes of products. We produce a range of different commodities that are normally not very price competitive. So we need a different agro-processing model that is aligned with the production systems that we have in the region. Hello, have I lost you?
For a minute there, but you're back.
Good. Something come back.
Yeah.
Right. So here's another example of a company that is doing the direct-to-market strategy. They offer a range of baskets of different types of products, mixed baskets with juices and root crops and vegetables and soups and smoothies, all targeting those who are committed to a healthy lifestyle. They have packages that are focused on say, a range of different types of gluten-free bread. They have packages deal with juices and teas, again, tied to the business model that we are promoting. Are you still with me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Basil.
Sure. So essentially, what we're seeking to do is to build a new agribusiness model for the MSME subsector. The most critical factor is going to be the need for funding. And as I said before, we are working with particularly two companies here in Trinidad, Richmond Investment Limited, Microfin Caribbean, Microfin Limited, to source the required funds and to put a mechanism in place for its management once we are successful in doing that. We have a number of specific activities that we are now engaging. But among those would be the need for the development of the pump city industry. For those of you who don't know what pump city is, in some countries it's referred to as golden apple. If you're listening from Jamaica, as June plum. This is an industry that we think has tremendous opportunities. We're working with a small team here in Trinidad to begin to build out that industry by producing seedling material that would allow us to provide enough seedlings to grow the industry. And we're working with both public and private sector partners on this. We're working with private and public sector partners in Guyana to grow the cassava industry. We're looking at a number of new technologies to increase productivity. We have developed a model that will allow us to promote across the Caribbean as a diversified factory shells and the machinery that will be required to process the range of products we have just identified. And one of my colleagues is perhaps online at the moment, who's working with us on that. We're working with a company in Jamaica for a model agro-recreational tourism project. And of course, coming back to the issue of the promotion of investment. So in a nutshell, that is the kind of strategic framework in which we are working and the specific project activities that we are now undertaking. I see a number of areas for possible collaboration with COLEAD. In fact, we do have a cooperation agreement in existence. And based on the presentation this morning, I can already see many areas for collaboration on some of the existing projects and some of the ones that we think are going to be necessary going forward. So I want to thank you and look forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Russell, for that brief but very informative presentation on the activities and where you're looking to go. We will take all the presentations from the partners and then we will open up the floor. So I do hope, Russell, that you're able to stay with us.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, great. All right, so I will turn over now to Mr. Ronald Theodore, who will be presenting on behalf of the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you, Ms. Walcott, and good morning, good evening to everyone. Permit me to move forward with protocols already established. So I just want to talk a bit about CIPA, right? So CIPA is an umbrella association of CARIFORUM investment promotion agencies with the objective of enabling collaboration among the Caribbean IPAs. CIPA was launched in 2007, November 20th to be exact, in Jamaica, with funding from the EU. So our membership has grown over the years. I mean, we started off with just about 7 members, and today we have 24 IPAs from throughout the member states. As you picked on the slide, is from Anguilla, Guyana, Haiti, and the list goes on, right? In terms of funding, we are supported by international donors and membership fees. Now, this slide more or less depicts where we're located. So you can see the member states. As I said, our membership has grown over the years. Our area of focus. So CIPA focuses on capacity building, right? We also focus on Caribbean brand promotion. The Caribbean is known for fun and sun, but we also a strong place for investment. So our role is to try to promote the Caribbean destination as a sound destination for investment. So our efforts is focused in that area tremendously. We also focus on research, data management and due diligence. We also facilitate inward and outward missions, and we play a role on policy advocacy for improving the business enabling environment within the respective member states and the Caribbean as a whole. In 2016, we did a regional investment promotion strategy. And that strategy has 3 pillars, right? 3 main pillars. One of that pillar is to proactively promote priority sectors for investment. And we look at sectors being the hotel and resort development, renewable energy, and outsourcing. Outsourcing with emphasis on the business process outsourcing niche sector. And HETOS is the agribusiness with focus on agtech. So that's an area we give consideration to. Another pillar is that of improving the investment climate. And in addition to aggressively communicating positive messages about the Caribbean. So those are the 3 pillars that we give attention to. In terms of the agri-tech sector, I mean, we have placed some priority over the years to that sector. And I just want to point out some of these areas and what we have done over the years. So we had a visit to Holland to learn in terms of best practice, because Holland has done well in the agtech sector. We have a MOU that was signed in 2019 to be exact, with Kaba and Vasil just presented a while ago. Who now serves as the CIPA's technical expert for the agtech sector. We also did a profile, agribusiness sector profile that was done with focus on agtech. And then we developed databases of more than 120 Caribbean institutions and organizations that can support the agtech niche sector. We developed catalogs, and with these catalogs, a lot of focus was placed on promoting opportunities in the agtech space. We, in collaboration with Caribbean Export, we hosted the agtech summit in 2021, that was September, and we had over 700 persons registering over a 3-day period. And then we had some investment forums, forums in Dubai, there was the Caribbean Investment Forum held in Trinidad and Tobago, and then the Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. At these forums, we had investment catalogs that were developed, and we had strong emphasis in promoting the agtech sector within those catalogs. We also looked at a strategy to develop the agtech sector, and that draft was developed in 2021. That strategy has 4 pillars: supportive government policies and structures, strong institutional network, innovative firms, and promotion, communication, and visibility. So I'll touch each one of them briefly. So in terms of the supportive government policies and structures, right? Yes, it's important that the government policies to support investment in this area is strong, and we want to focus a lot on incentives, because yes, I know there are several factors that will encourage someone to invest in the Caribbean. I mean, you look at the beauty of raw materials, look at the quality of life and so forth, but incentives always come to play. And it's important that we are able to recommend strong incentives for the agtech sector. And this is something that we want to give some attention to, look at best practices and make recommendations for improving. Also look at training the public sector support officers. And I just want to be clear that there's several players within the investment generation system. It's not only the investment promotion agencies alone. So you have several persons involved in consents and license and permits and so they all need to be on board. So from that, our strategic approach is to make sure that all persons within the investment generation system are on board and effectively trained, so we could effectively handle investments and when they come forward. We also want to focus on project packaging, and I will talk on that a bit later on. So those are some of the areas under that particular pillar. In terms of networking, yes, we have to build stronger networks. Working together works, and we believe that there's a need for stronger strategic partners. Yes, depicted on this slide is several institutions that we believe will play a critical role in developing the sector. CIPA started to work with some of these institutions, and we intend to deepen that relationship going forward. But at the moment, we believe that having these strategic partnerships are of great importance. And then coming out from that strategic initiative, we believe that there's need to be stronger support for innovative firms, right? In terms of looking at developing regional venture capital fund to support the growth of some of these Caribbean firms. We want to provide more training for some of the small farmers and see that they're able to get more grant support, right? At the end of the day, funding for some of our firms are critical. So we want to see how, what sort of role we can play to assist with in that area. In terms of the other pillar, which is the promotion, communication, and visibility, I think this is critical as well. We want to be in a position to develop more data. One of the deficiencies in the region is that the lack of data. So to collect and have a stronger repository of data within the region, within this the agtech sector. In terms of investment packaging for promotion, now we do have lots of concepts, within the region, concepts, investment opportunity concepts. But one of the downfalls with these concepts is that investors are seeking for more information. They want to know, if I invest in this project, what returns I'm going to make. We need to be clear on the return on investment, the IRR, the NPV, and so forth. So there's some work to be done where packaging is concerned, and that process has started. But we need not just to say, well, first of all, it has to be a paradigm shift in terms of how we encourage investment in this sector. Gone are the days of starting to say, well, look, just come and invest in the region in the agtech sector. We have to be in a position to say, develop these profiles, some profiles, and present it to investors. And that's the intention. Now, in presenting these opportunities, it just cannot be basic concepts. It has to be one that is fully developed, one that has, so an investor can see the returns if they were to invest in the respective project. So we are embarking on this initiative. The work has started. It's going to be a work in progress, but the intention is to effectively package these opportunities and showcase them to potential investors. Well, social media promotion and that is ongoing, and that was something that will continue. We were able to have, in collaboration with Caribbean Export, to have that Caribbean AgTech Investment Summit. It was dubbed Summit 1, so let's hope for Summit Part 2, right? So that's something that we need to have some further discussions on. But I think having an additional summit will be a recommendations for good practice incentive regimes for the Caribbean, right? I spoke a bit on the incentives before, but I think this is critical to us. You know, we need to, once you're promoting this sector, this niche sector, we want to be in a position to have the right incentives to be able to encourage investors, both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. Yeah, so those are the three immediate actions for KIPA that we intend to embark on. So with that, I say thank you.
Thank you so much, Ronald. We just had a power cut, so I was a little panicked. But thankfully I was on my laptop, but the main system was, the whole building went dark. So glad that I had my laptop connected. So thank you so much for the presentation. We will move to Mr. Alistair Glean, who is with the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA.
Hi, good morning, colleagues. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, my name is Alistair Glean. I'm the ICA representative in Barbados. I would like to thank my colleagues from COLEAD and the Caribbean Export for inviting ICA to participate in this session. I'll try to be as brief as possible and recognize the time limit. And let me start off by saying that I'm just sharing some perspectives, and I would encourage participants and persons online to engage our various offices across the region to get more information on specific activities and interventions that are being undertaken. So let me quickly say that I will give a brief introduction, which I've started doing. I'll give an overview of our key hemispheric programs. I will also try to address a few key actions and conclude. Hopefully I'll be able to do that within 10 minutes. Let me just say that ICA, we are a specialized agency for agricultural development and rural well-being in the Americas. We have offices throughout the Americas, and in particular, I want to highlight our offices here in the Caribbean region, offices in the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Eastern Caribbean, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, etc. So we have legs on the ground, and we are available to be engaged by interested persons, beneficiaries, agencies, etc. We work closely with ministries of agriculture in the region, as well as key agencies such as the CARICOM Secretariat, Caribbean Export, CARDI, the Caribbean Development Bank, and other technical cooperation agencies. As I speak about technical cooperation, I should state that we deliver our support via said technical cooperation. We focus on specific actions that are tailor-made to address the specific challenges posed by agriculture and rural development here in the region. And we try to provide those innovative solutions, but partnering with agencies on the ground, agencies in the region, international agencies as well, to deliver the support to the various countries. As I said, it's tailored to the specific needs of the various countries. We have 7 hemispheric programs through which we deliver our support and through which activities undertaken. And I'll just quickly highlight them. The first is agricultural climate action and sustainability. Then we have agricultural health, safety and agri-food quality. The digitalization of agri-food system is the third area that we look at. of great importance to ICA is gender equality and youth. There's a strong focus as well on innovation and the bioeconomy. Then there's a program in international trade and regional integration, and admittedly I'm biased towards that because I was part of that program. And finally, territorial development and family farming. Let me just develop on this a bit. Our agricultural safety and agri-food quality program, one of our flagship programs for the Institute, and has been well established here in the region. And the program primarily focuses on promoting agri-food systems that are productive, competitive, and sustainable. And the focus is on ensuring safe food, both for local, regional, and international markets. And our focus is on generally promoting agricultural health, safety, and as I said, agri-food quality. And for many persons across the region, they would know of ICA's work with the Caribbean Plant Health Directors and Chief Veterinary Officer, the CBOs, and in particular, I'll go to a key action in a bit, talking about our 11 TDF funded SPS program. But we've been doing a lot of work with sanitary and phytosanitary measures and working with CAPSA and other similar agencies. Then there's our program on innovation and the bioeconomy that will focus on promoting biomass or renewable, I should say use of renewable biological resources to produce food, etc. We've been focusing on promoting innovation technology to advance agricultural production. And we've been looking at South-South cooperation and regional knowledge networks, promoting best practices and lessons learned, all together to ensure that we can promote food and nutrition security. As I said before, for me, particularly interested in our International Trade and Regional Integration Program, where we seek to focus on building access to markets and facilitating trade, in particular for us in the region, while there is an interest in exploring the capturing of extra-regional markets, there's a strong focus on intra-regional trade. You would have heard my colleague Vassal Stewart talk about the focus on reducing the food import bill, regional food import bill, by 25% by 2025. And for ICA, we feel that all our programs should be tailor-made to address some of those concerns and those targets. And in particular, the International Trade and Regional Integration Program seeks to undertake activities that will promote interregional trade, thereby contributing to the reduction of that regional food import bill. So I'll come to some of the initiatives that we'll undertake as part of that program shortly. Okay, so some key actions from the various programs. As I indicated before, one of our flagship areas is the Agricultural Health, Safety, and Agri-Food Quality Program. And as part of that program, we are executing at the moment an 11 TDF EU-funded SPS project. And the focus of that project is to facilitate trade to regional and international markets with particular focus on the European Union. And this is a follow-up from our 10 TDF funded SPS project. And generally our focus is on strengthening the regulatory environment, looking at legislative environment, putting in place legislation. We've done a number of model bills to support the enhancement and improvement of agri-food system and safety systems in the region, focusing on compliance with international standards by public and private bodies. And I would say that we've been a lot of capacity building of private sector players across the region so that they can access markets. In addition, there has been the strengthening of laboratory systems across the region under this particular intervention. And there's a specific component that looks at SPS compliance for the fisheries sector, and that is being executed by the CIRFM. This program has also been looking at addressing African swine fever in the Dominican Republic, as well as addressing cadmium content in cocoa, and particularly focus on Trinidad and Tobago. And as I said, food safety is of critical importance for us, so we have been trying to work with the different manufacturers and processors, particularly of a micro and small nature, to enhance the ability to engage in food safety practices, ensuring that they can access markets through proper adoption of food safety standards. And we can engage each other further. I heard the COLEAD doing similar work, and just hope that we can partner to see how best we can meet the needs of the micro and small community. Then let me go back to international trade and regional integration. Again, we've been using technology and innovation to seek to develop our access to regional and extra-regional markets. And there's a strong focus by the Institute on trade facilitation. So we do a lot of capacity building with our various micro and small and medium-sized players. In particular, there's focus on undertaking e-commerce, improving their marketing, their use of digital marketing technology. So we promote a lot of e-commerce. There's a strong focus on enhancing the labeling and packaging designs of these companies. And I think I heard my colleague from COPEAD speak on those issues as well. We've been supporting product testing and nutritional testing for the various products being produced by these exporters and interested exporters. There's a focus on developing their brands, doing brand audits, etc. And a key area for us is regional sensitization on various market opportunities. So whether it's related to herbs and spices, whether it's sauces, condiments, juices, chocolate, teas, beverages, we've been trying to do a lot of work on that. And that is something we're going to focus on this year as well. We've also been supporting the development of investment profiles, and we've worked with CABA on that in the past. And a key area that we found useful for a number of the agri-entrepreneurs, the agri-exporters, is the conduct of market study tours. This we've felt that has been pretty useful in allowing the agri-exporters to understand competition in the markets and where they can fit in, where there are spaces, where there are opportunities where they can capture market. We've also undertaken fora to facilitate trade. One of our flagship activities across the region has been the conduct of a virtual trade mission. We've done it 2 years running, and it has proven quite successful so far. In the last iteration in November, we had over 170 regional companies participating. In fact, ICA generally conducts these virtual trade missions throughout the year, but in November of each year, there's a focused trade mission for the Caribbean. So I want to encourage you to get more information and to promote the activity, because again, the focus is on intra-regional trade. However, we do have buyers and players from Central America, North America, as well as Europe participating in this trade mission. Okay, so that's something that we are excited about, and we feel that it holds a lot of opportunity for market capture by our regional producers. And from the integration perspective, I should state that ICA coordinates the Business Development Thematic Group, a CARICOM mechanism established by the Council for Trade and Economic Development to address some of the business-related constraints that impact on agriculture. And we have been included in the Ministerial Task Force on Agricultural Food Production and Trade. And again, our focus is on addressing issues related to transportation, marketing, access to finance, and the organization of the private sector. As part of that work, one of the activities that we engage in is development of a transportation logistics database, where we would hope that micro, small, medium-sized players can go to this database and get information regarding logistics providers and transportation options in the region. That continues to be a critical impediment to the growth of the sector and advancement of trade. So there's hope that we can easily identify transportation schedules and who can consolidate and who can provide warehousing services, etc. So that's all going to be part of that transportation logistics database. So we do a lot of exciting things in the trade and regional integration program, and again, through partnership with CABA, Caribbean Export, and other players who form part of the business development thematic group. So I should close off by saying that generally, what we encourage beneficiaries, countries to do is engage our delegations for specific support related to the constraints of the issues that they face or the required development. So across the region, while I spoke about some of our key actions and our programs, there are key initiatives that we have been looking at in terms of, for instance, in Barbados, one of our flagship programs is the Youth Farm program. It's coordinated. I think one of my colleagues is on right now, Dr. Roxanne Waite, and each year that program seeks to develop capacity among young persons and provide them with qualification, vocational qualifications in crop production, aquaponics production, and livestock rearing. Again, that's something that's specific to Barbados, but we found that other countries have been coming on board, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, etc., expressing interest in being part of this program. But this is something that was developed as a specific, in response to a specific request by Barbados. We've seen other countries have expressed interest in developing apiculture, and generally our bioeconomy and innovation program has been supporting apiculture development across the region. And in fact, later this year, with the support of the government of Argentina, we're going to explore another regional apiculture development program. Again, one of our flagship activities across the region, in particular Barbados and the Bahamas, is on agrotourism, rural tourism development. And I heard Kaba speak on those issues, and again, hopefully we can engage in some more collaboration in that area. So there are a number of things that ICA is involved in. We are engaged in technical cooperation with a number of partners. We don't do work on our own. In most cases, we either serve as a catalyst or initiator of interventions or actions. And as I said, over the years, we've had strong relationships with agencies such as the FAO. I must emphasize the strong collaboration we have with the FAO, UNDP, UN Women, Green Climate Fund, as I said, Caribbean Export, CABA, the Caribbean Development Bank, CAPSA. Through all these agencies, we advance our technical cooperation and seek to add value to the work that has been undertaken in the countries. Our overall focus is on promoting food security and promoting agricultural trade. So I will conclude with that and just stress that again, partnership is key for us. We want to work with persons. We do have a strong relationship with COLEAD. It would be remiss of me to not mention that. Strong relationship with our colleague Isolina Boto with that webinar series that I believe was mentioned earlier. There's an upcoming webinar where we're going to focus on youth and the use of innovative and dynamic technology in their production systems. That relationship is one that we have cultivated over the years, and we expect to continue bearing fruit from that. So I think I will conclude on that note and encourage you to follow us on Facebook or Instagram for more information. I've just given a snippet that came from my memory, but please follow one of our Instagram pages and you can get much more information on the work of ICA here in the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alistair, for your presentation. I'm conscious of the time, so we'll go swiftly along to Mr. Barker from CARICOM Development Fund. If you're speaking, Kyron, we can't yet hear you.
You can hear me, Natasha?
Now we can, yes.
Well, a pleasant morning to each and every one. And I bring you greetings from the CARICOM Development Fund here in Barbados. Pleasure to be on this call to share what the CDF does. If you hear me say CARICOM CDF, it's really CARICOM Development Fund I'm talking about. So don't be surprised if I switch between CARICOM Development Fund and the CDF. Yeah. Let me just quickly remind, in the interest of time, Natasha, quickly remind persons on this call of what this CDF does, what we do, who we are and what we do. We were established under Article 158 of the Revised Treaty of Chaguaramas with the sole mandate to provide technical and financial assistance to disadvantaged countries, regions, and sectors in CARICOM. The membership of the CDF consists of some 12 member states grouped into MDCs and LDCs. For the first two funded cycles of the CDF, and I'll explain that a little later, we were basically concentrating our efforts in supporting initiatives in the LDCs. However, a couple of the MDCs came on board and successfully receiving support in our second cycle. And as I said, I'll explain that a little bit as we go along. So we operate cycles in 4 years apart. We're currently in the second funding cycle, which ends in mid-2023, around June, end of June. And the third funding cycle commences immediately. Our financial support is made through loans and grants, as well as technical assistance as per mandate given to the CDF. And the eligibility is restricted to member states which have paid in contributions. And yes, we do have a pay-to-play principle in which member states who are expecting to benefit must make a contribution to the fund at every cycle that we are supposed to support initiatives in the region. Most of these contributions come from the LDCs. The LDCs make smaller contributions along with development partner support so that we could fund projects and programs each cycle. Thematic priorities are determined after consultations with member states and they're approved by the Caribbean community for each subvention cycle that we operate in. A member state's contribution is determined for each subvention cycle through a formula, which is a sort of preset thing that includes a number of variables in there. So once that calculation is made, member states know exactly what they will be expected to contribute to the fund during each funding cycle. The country assistance programs are the mechanisms through which we support each member state who we are supported in the particular funding cycle. And the financing approved for implementation to disadvantaged countries, regions, and sectors. As per mandate, those are who we're supposed to be targeting. The disadvantaged countries, and I mentioned the LDCs earlier, those are the ones we targeted in the first and second cycle. And of course, they will continue to benefit in the third cycle. And we have now incorporated regions and sectors to maximize benefits from their participation in the CSME as well. Specific to the agricultural sector, we have been providing support to the sector since the fund started operation back in 2009-10 when we funded our 4 set of projects. So those initiatives have been pretty broad. We have given agricultural support to a number of countries and the LDCs. And there's one LDC which by virtue of its HIPIC status, and that was Guyana. It had that status for quite a while. And the projects which we supported then varied across the board. We did honey and across subsectors, honey, covered structures, livestock, value-added initiatives, and all of that. So we've gone across the gamut of agricultural initiatives in providing our support. But specifically, I want to point out where we have basically prioritized that support. We did a lot of on-farm and off-farm infrastructural development. Farm structures, we did quite a bit of livestock buildings and so on. I mentioned covered structures, greenhouses. Off-farm, we did quite a bit of feeder roads in, say, for example, Guyana, some parts of Guyana, and other member states there as well. Receive support for farm access. We did some work in agri-systems modernization through the adoption of climate smart technologies and so on and so forth. And we have provided and incentivized youth in agriculture. And we have given that some priority over the years as well, particularly focusing on the involvement of women and indigenous peoples in the sector. And we had the covered structures and honey expansion project we currently supported in these targeting youth and women to encourage their participation in the sector. We looked at access to water, irrigation, access to finance is a big one, which I'll expand on a little later, and then competitiveness and value added for some of the others that we have focused on and will continue to focus on in the upcoming cycle. of our upcoming third cycle. Right. So what in terms of what support we have provided over the years, we have approved and placed in excess of $32 million directly for agricultural development in the disadvantaged countries. Additionally, we have placed about $24 million in 5 development banks for sublending to SMEs, including the support to the agricultural sector. We average about 12% of the support the resources we placed in the development bank here go towards the agricultural sector for supporting small businesses and their development there. We've placed grants and other concessionary resources at the SLBB and GDB to assist youth in agriculture, challenging those young people might be challenging obtaining credit. We've placed resources specifically to support youth in those 2 banks in particular. The SLBB's the project they were targeting was the youth entrepreneurial project. That project is now closed, but the facility remains in the SLBB to support other youth who may come, who want to expand. Say, for example, they can go to the SLBB and continue, even at the end of the project, and continue to obtain that support. And we have done another US $1.23 million to 2 member states to enhance the capabilities of the national standards bureaus to test and certify agricultural or locally produced goods for domestic and export quality requirements. The Dominica Farming certification is an ongoing initiative we have been working with over the years. And in conclusion, the CDF is expanding its role as a financier of agricultural initiatives in the region and will place greater emphasis on the sector in the new cycle to respond to the region's food and nutrition security challenges. And we will be seeking to expand our collaboration with external partners in the process to respond to the mandate which was given to us under Article 158 of the revised Treaty of Chaparral. And I thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyron. Thank you, everybody, for your presentations. I'm just going to have a look to see if we had any questions. I note that William Castro, you're back on, and I noted that you had your hand up earlier. Do you have a question that you'd like to pose? I believe William is from the International Trade Center.
Yes, no, all good, Natasha. It was answered.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. It does not appear that we have any more questions. It looks like all your information, everything has been absorbed, or perhaps everyone is just awaiting the presentation so that they could ruminate over all the potential activities and support that is out there. Okay, there we have one from Mr. Spalberg. Nice to have you on, Joe. This question is for Kuiper. To Mr. Theodore Kuiper, please, who mentioned that one of the key strategic activities is to aggressively communicate positive message about the Caribbean, but can some recent examples be provided of activities that may have been developed this year? And secondly, how we may be able to support these activities?
Okay, thank you so much for that that question. So in terms of the website, Kuiper is strengthening his website to showcase opportunities and the region as an investment location. In addition, we also embarking on some newsletters. That process started, especially for one of the target markets you're looking at is Saudi Arabia. So we started to look at developing these newsletters to have them sent out because they're indicating they're not very clear as to what the Caribbean is doing in terms of investment and so forth. So we started to work with the respective IPAs to get articles, which will be developing to some newsletters to have them disseminated. So the intention is not only to have that done for Saudi Arabia, but other target markets that we're looking at as well. So the process has started. It's going to be a work in progress. We are cognizant of some of the deficiencies we have in terms of communicating. We're going to look at the website, social media, in addition to newsletters, right? And then, collaborating with, the embassies that are abroad, the diaspora, to, constantly spread the message that, the Caribbean is not a place of fun and sun alone, but for investment as well. We have done investment videos in the past, right? Some of these videos, we want to have them updated because you have new projects you want to get featured, right? Because all this summer development has taken place in various sectors. So we want to ensure that we effectively package some of those recent developments into our videos and so. So any suggestions you may have will be welcome, and we're willing to partner as well.
Great, thanks for that. And Kabwa or COLEAD, would you like to lend your voice, especially regarding the communication aspects as posed by Mr. Swaberg? In terms of amplifying your messaging on your activities and how he can help from Europe.
Well, thanks for the question. On our side, I mean, I'm not going to go into detail into the entire kind of communication strategy. That there's clearly an objective of increasing the narrative and the storytelling of any kind of initiative that, of course, goes in the positive direction, but being from the Caribbean or elsewhere. Because at COLEAD, I mean, of course, given the cross geographical spread of our activities, the key focus of where we'll be trying to work on will be to remind and to highlight the kind of importance of the agricultural sector in contributing to SDGs, no matter where you are, basically. That's at a macro perspective, and at a meso and micro, of course, we remain fully available to support more regional strategies in the best way we can, or even individual initiatives at company level. It can be company, sectoral, business membership on a regional basis, but we're there to support, following a kind of non-substitution principle. I mean, we will not necessarily be the best place to do so. I think there are partners around the table here who are best placed than us to do so, specifically for the Caribbean region. We'll be trying to focus really on the kind of common opportunities and common threats when it comes to understanding and seeing the position of the agri-food and agricultural sector in today's world.
Thank you for that, Jeremy. Anyone else from the panel who would like to chime in? Okay.
Natasha, I have a question, Vasil.
Okay. Sure, go ahead. Is that Vasil? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Jeremy, actually. Just a clarification on the application process. I'm taking it that it's not the traditional call for proposal, but an applicant can submit an application at any time. Is that a correct assessment of the process?
Yes. So thanks, Russell, for the question. I say today there are two ways, basically, to I would say lock into to supports that we can be providing. There's the indirect and direct route. So across our different programs, kind of common principle is this demand-driven principle. So yes, it's submitting an application for support. Benedict's explained that process. No matter what type of organization you represent, being an MSME, Commons Authority, and we do our best to maintain this option open all the time, basically, and adjust in the best way we can. Conversations with, of course, our financial partners to try and mobilize continuously some resources to be able to provide at least the first level of support to any applicants that will be sending this request for support. Now, the other way where we're focusing quite a lot of efforts on that at the moment, of course, is by directly accessing the resources that we're putting out there. And Camille went through some of these resources, and we're going to be increasing our efforts on that side in the coming months and years. But beyond, I would say, a traditional route of submitting an application for support, establishing a kind of development project with specific lines of activities, etc. It's this idea that during 20 years, we've accumulated a number of resources which we want to put out there and which we want to make available. And of course, do the best we can to guide a strategic use out of these resources, because we realize it's a lot. So the kind of challenge and trade-off we're finding out, trying to strike at the moment, is the best way to guide users in a kind of smart way, or use these resources according to their needs, and really guide users in how to best use these resources which are there, because it's a lot. There are it's a lot of information. So it's about prioritizing the use of some of these resources. But yes, in a nutshell, these are the kind of two ways. And of course, then it's a different scale and function of course, the level of commitment, the type of needs of partner beneficiaries, the absorption capacity. Just to give an idea, since the summer last year, in 9 months, we received over, in 8-9 months, we received over 600 individual applications for support. So we still have, we believe, we receive from the Caribbean, but we want to receive more from the Caribbean. We would like to receive more from the Caribbean, of course, because we see the kind of dynamics that are taking place in other parts. So at the moment, we're between 25 and 30, close to 30 applications for support. We'd like the number to be as high as possible in order to, of course, be able to calibrate the resources in the best way we can for the Caribbean region. So that's kind of an important message I wanted to pass on as well, of course.
Yeah, thanks a million, Jeremy. I think part of the challenges over the years why perhaps we have not had enough or as many as we'd anticipate in terms of requests from the region. It tends to be a challenge when they are so time bound in terms of call for proposal. If you do have a kind of open and continuous process for the applications, I think you'll find that you'll get far more applications coming in. So I'm happy that this is that's a window for that kind of continuous access.
Yeah. Thanks, Vassal. And if there's one message here, so of course it's through the partnerships that we currently have with different organizations here and present. It's to make sure, of course, that it's this outreach, because again, we're not the best placed. I believe that the kind of most efficient routes are through also your organizations to have a broader kind of outreach. But again, only when we can add value compared to what other programs and organizations are offering. But I think the scale and the speed at which we're trying to make a positive change, in any case, requires, as we see also in other regions and other countries where we work, more effective collaborations and partnerships between all, basically, because the amount of work is quite impressive to be achieved.
Appreciated.
Thank you, everybody. I think that's it for the questions. So I would just like to add a final thank you on behalf of Caribbean Export to the EU delegation in Trinidad and Tobago for reaching out to us at Caribbean Export. We were happy, of course, to provide a platform and facilitate this webinar for the agri-stakeholders in the region to not only showcase their activities, but also for the SMEs to hear what's happening and where they can tap into various resources. So on behalf of Caribbean Export, special thanks again to COLEAD, to CABA, Caribbean.
I'm looking for the
Alistair, I think that's you. So thank you to CARICOM Development Fund, to ICA, to CAIPA, and of course to CABA, Caribbean Agribusiness Association. Apologies, somebody did speak about acronyms, so I'm going to slow down and say what they all mean. CARICOM Development Fund, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, CAIPA, the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, and Caribbean Agribusiness Association, CABA. Thank you all for your time. Of course, I believe the COLEAD website, the link was available. Benedict, Camille, They'll be happy to provide additional information should anyone on the call want further information on how to access the resources. And of course, if if it's easier to reach out to us at Caribbean Export to make the introduction, we'll be happy to do so. So thank you all again. Have a good afternoon, good evening. And we will certainly be sharing the recording and the presentations with those who were able to join us today. So thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
I will send the presentation right after the
Yes.
session.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.